Thumbnail.
Alright, well, that was weird. Put the phone on silence real quick.
Can't be dinging away at us. All of our... Can't do deep work with your phone.
So, haven't done the pod in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Things have happened. Good things have happened. Welcome, folks. This is the episode with the pod. Don't know what episode it is, but it's a good thing. Pretty sure it is 12.
Because we kind of did 12 and then...
12 didn't count. That was the podcast.
Yeah, so...
We were on for 10 minutes and then the party happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a nice party. So, good things are happening. 'Tis the season. Start of November. We got some little Christmas decor out, you know. Mm-hmm. So, how's things going? C. Smith Graham.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Tell me something.
Things are going great.
Really?
Do you want to know what my favorite thing is that's going so great?
I think I have an idea, but tell me.
The Traeger.
Oh, really?
That's probably not what you were thinking, huh?
I was thinking the morning workouts, but the Traeger is...
The morning workouts are great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the Traeger has actually been a game changer. There's two things that I'm confident I can do very well on it currently.
What are those? Tell me.
The tri-tip, I can nail it. I know exactly how to do it perfect.
Which is great. It's crazy.
So good. And then the ribs, I've only done it once, but I have a pretty good idea as to why it works so perfectly.
You're at 100% right now. So why did it work so perfectly?
Perfect amount of cook time. I didn't even measure the temp one time on them. I didn't take a temp one time. I was just looking at them. Poke it a couple times. I was like, ready for a wrap. The ghee.
Ghee's
Wrap it. Tie it up.
ghee adds a new level to the game.
Yeah.
Sure does.
The only thing I've messed up is that freaking brisket.
It was thin. I don't think that it's cooked long enough. And yeah. But that's alright.
I'll come back.
Come back.
And
I will say the meat from your family farm, it is delicious, like the steak we just had, banging. But
Low marbling.
low marble.
Yeah.
And the fat is grass fed.
Right.
Which it doesn't have to be that consistency. They do have grass fed meat that is a bit different, but I'm sure there's some science behind it. Because I've had grass fed that's marbled and still has that flavor to it.
Right.
But the truth is that, like, you know the cows you see, and you've been up in the UNAs and seen the cows that are like, you're like, that's a fucking
Crazy.
wild animal. They're not going to be crazy, nice, tender marbling. They're going to have more gristle in them.
Especially because they're walking around.
Exactly.
So much.
They're fucking in the mountains. They're not in a stall.
So
Yeah.
we'll see though. That's a different batch of cows we got.
True.
This year they were more expensive.
Ooh, what are they?
They're Black Angus.
Fuck yeah.
But so were the last ones. But these ones were nicer Black Angus.
Would your family be interested in possibly obtaining some Wagyu?
I'm sure they would.
Bro, guess what? My uncle legit has one of the best goat farms in, like, the western states. They've won, like, Utah State Fair, Wyoming State Fair, Idaho State Fair.
Like showing goats? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. And they dairy goats. Mm-hmm. But there's this farm, I don't know where it is. It's in Utah somewhere. And they wanted to trade. They did end up buying dairy goats from my uncle, but they wanted to trade him direct 1-for-1 Wagyu beef. So my uncle raised a few steers, got them all the way ready up. They raised them for like a year and a half or 2 years. I don't know how long. And then got them ready to butcher. Fucking walked out there, and one of them was just tipped over dead. And he's like, he called me, and he's like, you know, paid thousands of dollars for it, paid thousands of dollars in feed, and his wife is a veterinarian. Like, she's fucking smart. She was a doctor and then a veterinarian. And she's like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but sometimes you're not able to find a cause. And they were just blown away. But
just
yeah,
tipped over and died.
Yeah. So they got a little hesitant on the beef farming.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they would. The problem is they don't keep cows, breed them, raise calves. You know, I mean, they just buy
Right. The yearling or the
a yearling,
calves,
I think, and then
raise them up and butcher them.
raise them for another 12 to 14 months and then
Right.
butcher. So to have the Wagyu, they might do it one time or something. I bet if I bought the cow,
That'd be dope.
they would raise it for me, and then I
Yeah.
could just.
That'd be dope. And they'd think it'd be cool.
I'm
They would
sure.
take special care of it.
But
I get what you're saying, though. The breeding process, I'm sure, it adds a whole nother element of
yeah,
farming life.
yeah. So
Mhm. Yeah, we need some farm celebrities. You know how like they did Duck Dynasty and
yeah,
like those things, like hunting. They need some farm celebs. Get some people in the farming world. You know what I mean? They don't have that.
I feel like they might.
Well, there's definitely like farming celebrities amongst farmers, but not celebrities that are
Farmer's
farming.
been doing podcasts recently.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Yeah.
Guy talking about how his hog farm. It's pretty neat. That has solar panels over every hog barn. Raises corn, right? Raises the pigs. The pigs eat the corn. The corn eats the pig shit. So it's perfect closed loop, he calls it, of growth.
Right. Do you mind just opening that door? The red light's just flashing and it's kind of bothering. But if you just open the door, it'll... Oh, I thought it would shut off. Anyhow. Hey, there we are. Anyways, yeah, that's dope. There was I heard a similar thing about the dairy farms in Italy where they have the cows at the top. I think I might get this right. The cows at the top of the hills, the dairy cows, and that's where like the processing is. And then they pull out the milk and all the other things that they like. They let the whey run down a irrigation system down to the pigs, and then the pigs eat the whey, and then they eat obviously everything else. But like, you know, the crazy prosciutto that they popping out with, the milk fat from the cows.
Really?
So yeah, and then I'm pretty sure there's birds underneath that. I watched this crazy short video the other day that was, because you know how like healthy eggs are, chickens are omnivores, not vegetarian. I can tell you little facts about eggs. I've been researching them, but so you want chickens to eat a full balanced omnivorous diet. Bugs, grass is
Seeds.
yes. And what people have been doing is, you've seen the pull mobile chicken coops, pull across the grass. Pretty dope. Little tip, anyone out there is listening. You just you get a bucket of water wherever your chickens are, in the grass or wherever. Dump the bucket of water. Works better on dirt than grass, but dump the bucket of water. Put a board over it so the chickens can't peck at the water. All the bugs come up to the board to be in the water, and then you move the board, and there's, on this video, there's tons of bugs.
Makes
And the
sense.
chickens just go AWOL. But little things about eggs. So, you got grade A. Just mean, you know when it says grade A, that's just the shape. So that doesn't mean shit. It means the shape of the egg. It doesn't have anything to do with the nutrition. You got cage raised, caged free, and then what's the other one? It's cage free, and there's another term. But cage free does not mean they're outside. That just means they have access to the outside, and that does not mean they get to go outside. That just means there's access. So it literally could just be like 10 million chickens in a barn, and there's a door. That doesn't mean they go out. The only one that actually means anything is pasture raised. Oh, pasteurized is the other one that doesn't mean anything.
Pasteurized?
So there's pasteurized eggs, like pasteurized milk. You know how
Yeah.
that works? So they steam the eggs after to kill all the bacteria on the outside. That doesn't mean shit. They're all still not good. The only one that is actually raised outside is pasture raised. So that means they have, like on Vital Farms, you'll see on the packaging, 108 square feet per chicken. So
Man.
cage-free eggs only have 1 square foot of area per themselves. 1 foot. And then 90% of eggs are raised in cages in the chickens in America. Vegetarian is a better option than basic cage raised because then at least you're eliminating the animal products that are farm factory made that are worse for the chickens than if they just ate vegetarian. But it still doesn't have the same profile as a pasture-raised egg because they get to eat bugs and all that. They have way higher. It's like 21 times more omega-3s than a cage-raised egg. So, and eggs are the per price the cheapest protein available. Yeah,
Makes sense.
you can imagine. Like
Yeah.
even if you're paying $10 for a dozen eggs, that's 60 grams of protein for $10. So I guess you could get, and that's like super expensive eggs.
Yeah.
But you get my point. Yeah, so the eggs are goated.
Eggs are great.
Eggs are goated. But yeah, we got some good things rolling nowadays. Tell them about it. Hit them with some good stuff.
Hitting the morning workouts, 6 a.m. at the gym. Crush it for about an hour 15. We've just been hosting. Seems like we host events often. We did Lenny's birthday, Halloween. There's something else we did too.
We did. What else was there? There's been some good things, but yeah, many a big dinners, many social gatherings.
Me and Ashton kind of just chef it up for everyone often.
It's the huge, just the
Yeah.
huge. I mean, it's just the way that it is.
We make dinner for the boys.
You know, what better way to serve people than to cook them a nice meal?
To serve them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And we're
think
good
so.
at it. What can I say?
Oh, we're pros. Runs in my
What can I
blood.
say?
It runs in my blood.
My parents never really taught me how to cook, but they always cooked and ate only good food.
Healthy. So you're just at a standard of living.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. My
Whereas-
parents were fucking goddamn host.
Restaurateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My granny throws down. Yeah. If you were like, Granny, we have a party, 80 people, she'd be like, all right,
On it.
don't worry about a thing.
That'd be nice.
It's dope. She goes hard. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
upcoming, we got Friendsgiving / my birthday party, kinda.
Right.
And then Christmas tree hunting
Fire.
day after.
Fire.
And then I'm going to see my brother next
Many
weekend.
people listen to this. Probably never even. There's not many people listen to this, but they probably never even hunted for their own Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Do you even know what that means?
You gotta go out there, you sneak around.
Yeah.
You don't want the tree to see you coming, they might scurry off.
And then when you find one, you don't rush it. You gotta slowly, because it's your tree.
And then you go up and you
Take care of it.
just barely touch
Yeah.
it. Then you cut it down. So that'll go right here. That'll be in a pod.
We need to bring a fucking
stand for it.
sawzall. No, we got a stand. We got a skirt. We got all the decorations. We just need a sawzall to cut it down.
Well, I got one.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. But
Chainsaws are cooler though.
you got one of those.
Clint does. He let me use it. He's got a nice still.
Better bring a fucking what did I just say? Fucking sawzall just in case you can't start it.
Buddy.
I
Just
guarantee
in
you.
case I
I'm
can't
just gonna
start
say I guarantee when we're out there, you'll bring it, and everyone will be standing around the tree, and you'll be like, "All right, let's get her started up real quick," and you're just gonna sit there. And then Lenny's gonna go, "Let me try. He's gonna get over there, pulling on it.
I'll get it first 4 pulls, I bet.
It never happens.
It's a brand new still chainsaw.
All right, we'll see. Anyhow,
Don't doubt my
Yeah.
stepdad's chainsaw.
the giving season is a great season. I'm a fan of it. I like it.
It's
I'm
giving-
pro it.
It's giving season.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. All right. What else we got on the agenda?
Got a little event tonight.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm thinking, like what's the so we're doing. Oh, by the way, we are currently doing Business 101. I don't know when we started, but it's kind of fine because I don't really care. We'll be able to figure that out in the next however many days. Editing a pod, you'll pop up on the pod that you know what I mean. And we'll just mark the date.
Yeah.
Hour a day of business every day. Been doing a lot of reading.
A lot of reading.
Solid stuff. What have you learned?
The importance of scheduling time for deep work. Deep work's not something if you just, this is a new term for you.
Hit me with it.
If you just go and try to ad hoc schedule your deep work, it doesn't work out great.
What does that mean? Ad hoc?
Ad hoc, it's of Latin roots. It means
How's it spelled?
AD space HOC.
Ad hoc.
It means for a specific purpose and without prior planning.
With a specific... Okay.
For a specific purpose without prior planning.
Okay.
So you just pull up and they're like, I need to do an hour of deep work right now.
Right.
You're less likely to have good results than if you were to schedule time daily.
Yes.
A time every single day where you're like, this
Yes.
is my 90 minutes of deep work.
Yes.
Second thing, it's either, there's a couple of different methods of doing it. Okay, either you do like I was just saying, you schedule 90 minutes to 2 hours every single day where you put your phone away, you don't look at emails, you don't talk to anybody, you do deep work, or you do it seasonally or longer periods of time with and longer periods of time without. So it's either every day, or the minimum for the other bimodal method is you will at least have to do one full day minimum set aside for deep work. But you don't have to do it the rest of the week. So if you want to do it that way, you're going to go, Saturday is an entire day of deep work where I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not looking at my phone. Rest of the week, I can give my attention to that, but this entire day, and one day is the minimum for that method.
Is there anything in between that, though? Like just like half the day for 3 days or something? Because seasonal, you're saying the seasonal
Well,
approach.
seasonal approach is like for a professor that's a highly achieving person. They're going to do, obviously, the school year where they have to give their attention to students and colleagues. And then when they go on a summer hiatus,
They're off.
they're off.
Okay.
They don't talk to. So that's the seasonal approach.
Got a
It's an
few-
entire season. And then you got the weekly, at least one day, could be 2, could be 3, or the daily, have to set aside at least 90 minutes usually
I see.
per day, every single day, all year long.
So the first one, is there a term for that? The first one where it's deep work daily,
There is, I can't remember the term though.
DWD.
Deep work daily,
And then you got,
deep work weekly.
then kind of in between that, you got the full day at least once a week.
Yeah.
And you're saying wake up, work, eat, sleep.
Don't talk to people. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your emails.
A day like that kind of seems nice.
It's, Carl Jung.
Yeah.
He, obviously he had a psychiatric practice, right? So, at the time, he was kind of arguing against Sigmund Freud
Yeah.
about a lot of things in psychology. So if he's running his psychology practice, he didn't have enough time to develop and write new ideas to combat against Freud. So he bought like a stone castle kind of somewhere.
Gangster.
And then he would go and spend a week or some long periods of time at his castle where there was like nobody to talk to, no electricity. And his method was wake up, do deep work, meditate, go on a walk type deal. And so
just straight grinding.
just straight grinding. Do that for a week. Was able to come up with,
He's got the damn. Have you ever heard of the white papers,
no.
bro? Great. You gotta look into the white. It's Carl Jung. He basically, it's probably doing what he's doing. And then we'll get back to, I see a little light going on there. But he basically devised a way to tap into source, and then they're like, and this is a very bad way of explaining it, but they're like straight divine wisdom from the source, and they're like weird, but yeah, check out the white papers. They're not published books, but it is published papers, and you'll be able to find them pretty easily. There's probably books written about them, and then I think there's the red papers as well. Yeah, Peterson talks about them quite a bit. And anyways, so you got that, the Carl Jung approach, and then the seasonal approach, which is like a professor.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea of being like, all right, guys, I'm dipping out for a week. I got a cabin that I'm going to be staying at by myself. Right. I don't have anything to work on. Right. I mean, I have things to work on, but I don't have anything where I could spend a week delving into a task.
I get what you're saying.
So, my first step that I'm still on is figure out what I need to do deep work on.
That's a good point.
And then, second step, do deep work on it.
That's cool. I like those approaches. And that's some cool things. So, what was the word? New word you taught?
Ad hoc.
Ad hoc. Yeah, that makes sense. I will go like Monday, Tuesday, and do like scheduling perfectly, like pretty much like eustress. You ever heard of that word?
No.
That means it's not stress; it's eustress, U-E, stress, and it is a challenge or problem difficult enough to make you consider how difficult it is, but you know you've got it. It's like a workout where you're like, shit, this is gonna be tough, but you're not scared of it.
Right.
So that's eustress.
Okay.
And then we've been going about 30. So, anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'll have like eustress for a few days, and then I'll do the ad hoc shit and just throw on. I'll be like, all right, now I'm going good momentum. I'll just throw on a bunch of stuff all of a sudden, and I won't get any of it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of am leaning towards the idea of thinking of more seasonal, because there's certain things that you could do every day, and obviously you can raise the bar higher and higher and higher, like daily practices. But also, I guess I couldn't say that honestly, because I've never really done like deep work for one thing in particular for an amount of time.
And the problem with the seasonal approach is, can you actually do the seasonal approach? Could you actually go and not talk to your girlfriend or your family for a season?
Well, I don't think it has to be not like. I mean, like the young one seems like that would be you're out isolated.
Yeah.
But the other one seems like it would be you're living like on and off. So either you're on
the seasonal one.
Well, you gave two examples for a seasonal one.
Oh,
one of them is the young approach,
right,
and one of them is the seasonal approach.
Right.
So the seasonal approach, like a hockey player playing, obviously in the season they're grinding, but on the off season they're still grinding to a point, but they're not. And that might not be the best example because of a professional athlete, but I'm sure that there's a bit in the off season where you have more time to be with people, and then on the on season, I'm sure there's periods where you have no time, but I would assume that there's still a bit of time.
I suppose there probably would be.
You get what I'm saying?
But it's like if you wanted to do that approach, whatever other work you're doing, you would have to put off for that season, unless your deep work is into your current work. So like if you wanted to try and do sales and the seasonal deep work approach,
totally get what you're saying.
You're not going to get to go out and do daily sales.
Great, and you raise a great point, because what I was thinking earlier, or in the past sometime, I was like, what if you could get it to the point where you have another source of income in the winter, and you take the winter off from sales, and then and it wouldn't even have to be, because like if you were going that far part-time with sales for Elite, they would have to downsize a bit. And then when you got on the summer, you could be like, I guarantee if you communicated clearly with Chet and Ashton and them, you could be like, you guys hire an extra crew and we'll go full time for 2 months in summer, or what, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that is like a way of taking seasons for the thing. Because then winter comes around and you're like, all right, now I'm completely going all in on this one thing.
It's winter arc time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about a few questions recently. They've just been
You've been mulling
raised
it over?
Yeah, they've been raised to my conscious, and they're kind of like the same theme, but there's different angles for it. And I've told you about them in conversation, but I'd just like to see what you think about them and see if you could expand upon them a little deeper. So, imagine that you, right now, because you have an untold life, and battles not fought, and stories not told, right? Imagine right now, God, it goes, sorry, but you're never going to have someone to love. You're never going to have a battle to fight. You're never going to have any of these things. Your family's not going to see you in the best version of yourself. It would have been a shame because they could have seen you do ... And then what is it that would be the thing, the few things? It doesn't have to, you don't have to like have it figured out, but like you're like, because like for me, for that question, I'd be like, I always thought that I was going to be enough, do enough to retire my family. I always thought I was going to do enough to raise a family in an unimaginable level of abundance, right? But then like you get specific, because I was writing about this last night, and then like, what is it? Because, or another way of phrasing that question is like, say you do have all the people supporting you and they know that you're going to do it, and then they look at you and they're like, we always knew you had it in you to accomplish ... You know what I mean? There's either way the same point, but like, because because people know things about you that you don't know, and then you know things that you want to accomplish for other people that they don't know. Like my mom probably doesn't know how much it means to me that I'm going to retire her. Right? Like she doesn't think about it every day like I do. You know what I mean? But she probably goes, I just always know he was going to do something. Probably more than I think about it. So what is that? Where's the cross section at where it's like, where you like, you get what I'm saying? Because that's one way of finding sort of or listening in deeper to the calling, if you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Or like, you know those pictures online where it'll be like someone young died, and it'll be like, it's so horrible that this person's stories were never told. And I'll see those and I'll be like, what were they gonna do? Because I'm like, not like in a demeaning way, but I'm like curious, because I'm like, damn, you're probably mourning something different for every person. Because like someone could look at that and be like, he was a dickhead. And other people could look at it and be like, he was so good at cooking. Maybe he was going to be the best cook in the world. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I've been pondering about these thoughts. Because I like the idea of giving yourself a reason to think all the way to the extreme, and then backtracking and being like, all right, why? There's a second part to the whole idea. Why aren't you doing that now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if tomorrow Chet was like, or right now Chet's like, you can't work for me anymore, contract's up, and then the landlord's like, we got a lawyer, the lease is not signed anymore, you guys are kicked out in 3 days, and your mom calls you and she's like, you can never come back here, sorry, just the rules, and you're stuck out here all alone. And then they're like, and also you do have to continue to pay $4,000 a month for whatever, and you're like, all right, got all this shit going on. You would be able to figure it out. So why do you need all that pressure to figure it out if you already know you have it inside of you to figure it out? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's not really any good direct questions, but it is. I'm just trying to get to a point where it's pinning down what it is that you would do if you knew all of it wasn't going to matter anyways. Because then there's nothing else other than, no ego attached to it, other than the fact that this is just something that you wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you could be like, climb all the mountains in the world. And maybe that's the most passionate thing you've ever felt. But, you get what I'm saying? For me, I'm definitely drawn towards the idea of, you know, like the cornerstone of a church, the first brick laid down. I feel like the family lineages go through cycles, and I'm sure there's someone in my past that was like the guy that not literally put that stone there, or maybe literally, but like for his legacy was like, I'm done with it, I'm gonna start a new legacy, and then laid the brick down and just said, I don't care what anyone thinks, this is what I'm determined. For the rest of my family's lineage, they'll understand what it meant to be Smith. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm drawn towards that. I don't know how that would manifest specifically, and maybe that's the reason why you don't know what direction to go.
Yeah.
Does this provoke any thought within you?
The thought it provokes is I just don't really have an idea of what that thing even is for me. Like, obviously, I wanted to be wealthy my whole life.
Okay.
And obviously, I was like, it would be dope to just buy my parents' houses, you know?
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know what the specific thing is.
What would be the most epic story told that you could muster?
Going through some hardships and coming out the other side swinging, you know?
So would you rather you ask for hardships and God gives them to you without your knowing, or would you rather tell God that you're going to choose them and pick a battle to fight? Okay, this might bring something out of this because I just have a long-winded way of saying nothing. But what's that one word that explains what Kamala Harris did?
It was...
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Starts with a B.
I had my journal. It's like... I don't know.
Anyways.
Poison? No.
Anyways. Hopefully I can read. Oh, okay. I did come up with something out of this. So, if you were starting at flat, scratch, there's nothing on the board.
Okay.
And you set out to do something, especially if it's something difficult, something with a higher barrier to entry, something that takes time to manifest results, something that you won't be recognized for until you don't need recognized for it because you know that you can do it. Say you're flat, any bumps up are going to be minuscule for so long until you get to the point where the amount of work that you've done creates enough proof that you convince yourself that you actually are able to have feedback. Because like if you learn a skill and you're like, I don't really know if I have been learning it, and then you learn a skill again and you continue to do that over and over and you fail, continue over and over, sooner or later you and life will meet at a point and then it'll give you feedback and then you'll actually have the understanding that you did gain something.
Right.
So no matter what you do right now, or no matter what skill it is, it's not going to feel right. It's not going to give you immediate gratification. It hopefully it does, but it probably won't. Right. And you probably won't know if it's right until the very second that the world shows you something that you've done. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking about that because I was like, no matter what skill I pick, for the longest time it's going to do nothing. Like I'll just, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm chasing my tail over and over again. feel like I'm getting nowhere. And then all of a sudden there'll be a little growth and you'll get a little feedback. But anyways, there's a point because the idea of like finding your passion and the ideal skill, I don't think that exists. I think you have to pay the price to ride the ride. And that means that you have to do the stuff that no one else wants to do, which means that you have to go through it with no feedback for longer than other people will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that means it doesn't matter what you pick. It could be anything. You're not going to get it until you get to the point where most people stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But
Because the analysis by paralysis by analysis, say it backwards, it makes better sense. Say it the right way, it makes better sense. States that the smarter you get, the more complicated the reasons on why it's not the right thing. The stupider you are, you're not able to explain in more sophisticated ways on why it's not the right thing, so you might do something. You get what I mean?
yeah. I will say, if you pick a skill that you don't care about at all,
Right.
you're not going to get to that, breaking that barrier of entry.
That's the paradox.
So,
Yeah. The worst thing that could happen is you get good at spend your whole life to get good at a skill that means nothing
now
to
you
you.
hate it. Yeah, that's facts. Something to ponder on. That's something. Let's see here. What's the most... I'm just changing the subject hard.
Go ahead. Please do.
What's the most important thing you've learned about yourself since we've moved in here?
Things don't happen in big steps. Anything you want takes tiny little micro movements forward.
Is that something you've learned about yourself or just life in general? Because that's true for everybody, right? So that's not necessarily something you learned about yourself.
This is I've had a few moments like this, few experiences through life that have showed me the insight that I'll explain. So it's not entirely from here, but it is a big, probably the most in the shortest amount of time happened here. And that is that I have, for whatever reason, from my upbringing, many, many stories that I tell myself on what a man is, and they just continually get torn down because they're not right. Big, strong man that says no, that doesn't have any empathy.
Right.
Cars are gay for sissy folk. And, you know, like, just the stupidest stories.
Right.
Don't dance, that's queer. And, like, fucking canceled. But, you know what?
Took us
12
episodes.
But, so there's a bunch of stories that I was telling myself are the right way to be a man. And then another thing that goes kind of with that is the self-talk, selfish self-talk is impossible to produce a positive state of mind. You can't have self-talk that's only about me, me, me. He did this and that affects me. As soon as I start changing it to be like, I'm glad they're here, or what, like, I'm so glad that my standards are raised because they're here. It is a better way of saying they think they're going to do better than me, so I better just show them how much they suck. And because then it's only about you.
Right.
So the two things, I guess, which one is probably in the same category as what it means to be a man, but it's mostly human as well. So, but yeah, I would say, and it's a good question, and I do want to think about it. So I'd say a lot of stories that I told myself what a man are just aren't real. It's just mostly from the red pill space online. And then the second thing is, if your brain's only concerned about yourself, you're going to be miserable. And to end it off, I will pose the question back to you. What is what was the question? What is the thing that sticks out to you the most that you've learned about yourself since you've lived here?
Probably that I am capable of doing or feeling whatever I want to do or feel. I just have to work at it. For the longest time, I'd had this thought in my head, and I was like, how are there so many people that are just out there living life? Like, are all these other people not depressed like me? In my head, I was like, everybody has to be depressed because life is so shitty. And then got out of that, and I was like, it makes sense now. There's a reason I felt that way, and there's a reason people are still alive. Because in my head, I was like, I'm surprised less people kill themselves. I had that thought. I was like, I thought you'd think there'd be more people. So there's that. Yeah, that I am capable.
That you're capable, period, or that you're capable? Well, yeah, I guess it goes.
I'm just capable, period. Also, I did have a realization in the shower today about the spiritual awakening. I was pondering upon it. Although I didn't have one like intense thing where I just fucking was face to face with God, but I would say the beginning of it all was when I was 14 years old, and I was visiting my brother Jerem in Texas, and we were driving, and I had said something along the lines of, it's hard to imagine all these other people living in existence just as important as mine. And then he was like, yeah, that one's a trip. And then he was like, but it's also hard to imagine that you would be those people had you been born into their situation.
Yes.
And so then that sent me down a thing of like, I didn't fully understand it right when he said it. And then I thought about it for a long time. And that is what formulated mostly what I believe to be my thoughts on the afterlife, which is hell can't exist, because if I was born into Jeffrey Dahmer's body with Jeffrey Dahmer's brain and Jeffrey Dahmer's parents, then I would be Jeffrey Dahmer. So how is it fair for any one person to go to hell if you are just a product of your environment growing up and the situation you were put into? And then you'll have the argument from people, yeah, but there's still agency. So the tricky part of that philosophy is it's like, some people are going to be like, yeah, but then that just takes away responsibility from people for doing bad things. And it's like, well, not really, because if you know, then you know.
That's a great point.
So I know it's bad to eat people and rape people, you know, so I'm not going to do it. But if I was Jeffrey Dahmer and I just kind of fucking control it,
yes,
and I just wanted to fucking get that little Asian boy,
yes,
I would have done it.
And again and again and again, going against your conscience creates a reprobate mind. It's unsavable,
as the Bible says.
And I think that's a good end to the podcast.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my intro to philosophy.
That's solid.